Hello everyone, and welcome to Ecopsych EXP, where we take a stroll through the forest of eco-psychological themes in video games. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Casey Edgerton, and I am a doctoral candidate at Veritas Graduate Institute. My core message is that video games can and do foster ecological empathy and combat apathy and doomism. I love video games, and I see them as a force for so much good, and I hope that this always comes through in my videos. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce the incredible game developer I was fortunate enough to be able to interview for this episode, Konstantin Kopka of Ghostbutter. Ghostbutter is a Berlin-based team that has been making spooky cute and bone-licking good games since 2014. It consists of Konstantin Kopka, Philip Feller, and Eleanor Kopka. Their game Penko Park is about exploring an abandoned wildlife park, meeting its mysterious inhabitants, and taking their photos. It's reminiscent of Pokemon Snap in its mechanics and charm. Snap magnificent shots and discover the creature's most interesting poses, collect wildlife details and snapshots in your trusty park guidebook, uncover the park's history, secrets, and hidden paths. Use your trusty Penko grappling hook to interact with the environment, and look beyond the surface by unlocking your camera's Ghost Cam mode. I first asked Konstantin, in Penko Park, you explore an abandoned wildlife park. How did you conceptualize the park's setting to evoke both nostalgia and intrigue for players, blending environmental storytelling with gameplay mechanics? He responded, I've always been a fan of environmental storytelling in games like BioShock, so I wanted the player to be able to play the game at their own pace without heavy-handed cutscenes or cinematic sequences. We settled on our version of audio logs, the park's tour guide buttons that prompt Penky to give little explainers about the park's history and inhabitants. I then asked, in the game, players interact closely with wildlife through photography. How did you approach designing these interactions to foster a sense of empathy and connection with virtual creatures? He responded, during gameplay, the player encounters the creatures in the wild, so we wanted to foster emotional connections to the park's inhabitants. Later on, when the player places the chosen photos in the album, they can read the flavor text and learn more about the animals. Again, completely optional, but for those who enjoy reading lore, like myself, we wanted to encourage deeper knowledge and immersion this way. I asked, Penko Park encourages players to collect wildlife details and snapshots. How does this mechanic promote environmental awareness and encourage players to engage with the ecosystem within the game? The story of Penko Park, without spoiling too much for those who haven't played it yet, is concerned with things that went wrong in a now abandoned wildlife park, so uncovering that is the whole point of the game, in a way. I asked, the introduction of Ghostovision adds a supernatural twist to exploring Penko Park. How does this mechanic challenge players' perceptions of the environment, and what themes of perception and reality did you explore through its implementation? The response, my company Ghostbutter, apparent from the naming, has at its core an infatuation with the more weird and otherworldly side of things, so I felt that adding the ghosts of fallen Penkies would make for a nice and emotional twist. Also, they were just really fun to design and animate for Philip and Eleanor, so that was nice too. The Penko grappling hand is a pivotal tool for interacting with the environment. How did you balance its gameplay utility with its symbolic representation of human-nature interaction and ecological exploration? He responded, the utility of the grappling hand was expanded upon relatively late in the game. Early on, it was just there to pick up collectibles that were related to the animals, but later on, we also added destructible parts of the environment, which unlock new paths or uncover hidden creatures. I am not sure about the symbolism, but it was just fun to use and felt like it enhanced the felt connection to the environment. The creatures in Penko Park exhibit unique behaviors and poses. How did you design these creatures to reflect biodiversity and symbolize broader themes of adaptation and resilience in nature? He responded, the creature design process was in huge part the work of my sister Eleanor. We designed them with gameplay first in mind, the symbolism came later. We were aiming for a good mix of biodiversity that would always be surprising and enjoyable to the player. I asked, as players navigate Penko Park, they make choices that impact the environment. How did you approach designing these choices to reflect real-world environmental ethics and encourage responsible interaction with virtual ecosystems? He responded, again, without spoiling too much, the point of the game is to uncover what went wrong in a sort of ecological disaster and interact with the fallout of that, in a mostly scientific but also beneficial way. Penko Park is a game with a more linear, on-rails experience rather than an open-world format. How did you decide to go with this structure, and what benefits did you feel it brought to the player's experience of exploring the wildlife park and its secrets? How does this more guided approach affect the narrative and players' relationship to the park? We experimented for a long time with an open-world park structure, and while this was exciting for us, it never worked out and was very boring to interact with. The on-rails structure gave us way more control over the pacing and intensity of the encounters, and I believe it made the game stronger overall. I asked. The creatures in Penko Park straddle the line between cute and creepy, which can create a unique emotional response. How did you approach their design to ensure that players could connect with these creatures, even when their appearances evoke both affection and unease? How did you balance this duality to enhance the game's thematic impact? Konstantin said, I think cute and creepy goes well together because it creates a sort of tension and surprise, which is just endlessly fun to design around and play with. It's our yin-yang in a way. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your process, intentions, or hopes for this game in the future? The floor is yours. Penko Park is finished for now, and there are no intentions of expanding it in the future. New games are being built though, and they will carry some of that same DNA, but also change things a lot. Expect things to become a lot darker. Thanks for the interview. I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Konstantin Kopka for his time and responses. Researching deeper into Penko Park was such a delight, and I can't wait to see what great and darker things are in store from Ghostbutter. Penko Park is available for purchase on Steam, Epic Game Store, and Nintendo eShop. If this interview has piqued your curiosity, please check it out and show your support. So, let's take a moment to reflect. What strikes me most about Penko Park is how it skillfully balances the playful and the mysterious, offering players both lighthearted fun and moments of deeper contemplation. The way the game integrates environmental storytelling without overwhelming the player with exposition is a testament to the developer's understanding of pacing and emotional engagement. The use of Ghostovision, a quirky yet thought-provoking mechanic, brings a unique layer to the game, challenging us to consider how we perceive the environments around us, both in the game world and our real one. I also appreciate how the game fosters empathy through its photography mechanics. It's not just about quickly snapping shots of creatures. It's about taking the time to observe, understand, and appreciate the life within the ecosystem of Penko Park. The creatures, each with their unique behaviors and designs, may be cute and creepy, but they also embody the delicate balance of nature, surprising, resilient, and ever-changing. By choosing a linear, on-rails experience over an open-world one, Penko Park guides players through the unfolding mystery of the park, allowing them to immerse in its narrative without losing focus. And yet, despite this control over pacing, the game never feels rigid. It still offers freedom in how players choose to explore and interact with the environment, allowing for a more meaningful connection. I'm excited to see where Ghostbutter's future projects go. If Penko Park is any indication, there's much more to come that will dive deeper into the intersection of playful design, environmental awareness, and storytelling. I'd love to hear from you and your thoughts on this game in the comments. Once again, please check out Penko Park on Steam or another platform. Until we meet again, please feel so very free to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, thank you so much for being a part of this little ecosystem.